We begin the news by telling you that troops of the Nigerian Army in Borno State have rescued 7 women and 9 children kidnapped from their homes by terrorists. The victims were rescued in a series of coordinated counter-terrorism operations conducted by troops in collaboration with the vigilante and hybrid force. During the operation, 1 terrorist was killed and arms and ammunition were recovered. The Army said troops also conducted an ambush operation in the Komala general area of Borno State. The Police Service Commission has challenged the Nigerian police force to provide verifiable evidence to support the allegations regarding the recruitment of constables. The police had, in a statement by its spokesperson, Muyiwa Adejobi, rejected the names of those recruited by the commission. The statement said the PSC portal was scrutinized and it was discovered that several names of persons purported to be names of successful candidates are those who did not even apply and therefore did not take part in the recruitment exercise. The Joint Union Congress of the Police Service Commission had denied the allegations, demanding the removal of the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun. Nigeria's federal government says that it has begun the implementation of a new strategy that will help create about 2.5 million new jobs annually for citizens. Now, this was made known in Abuja during the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the presidency and the Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
I use this opportunity to urge Nigerians to be...
Nigeria's Minister of State for Labor and Employment pleading with Nigerian youth not to leave the country in search of jobs. The minister says that the president's promise of renewed hope for youth still stands and assured that the government will fulfill its promises.
Don't lose hope, no matter what. Tomorrow is brighter. Like my name, Kiruka. Tomorrow is brighter. I believe that tomorrow is brighter, to be honest. And the way to do is to look inward. We have experts. Those people who have been in those companies, they should now bring in what they have learned over these years. The government should also begin to support our indigents, made like homegrown people to begin to take over. These are spaces, when people move, there's a space. The government should leverage on these spaces that these people are creating. We are not saying they should leave, we want them to stay, but you can't force somebody to stay.
She says that her office is going into a partnership with the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to Nigeria's President on Technology, Vocational and Entrepreneurship Education to help make the vision of job creation a reality.
I'm handing over a copy of the agreement.
With the signing of this memorandum of understanding, the minister says over 2.5 million jobs will be created annually.
Through this MOU, we are having a strong foundation for the creation of 2.5 million jobs annually, focusing on vocational, technical, and entrepreneurial skills that are critical for the economic development and growth of Nigerian youth and women.
The part in which my office will be playing more is more on the mapping, where we will go to different states to find out what skills are necessary in the state, so we match supply against demand to make sure that what we'll be training them in the states are the skills they actually need and that are profitable.
The partnership is expected to reduce the number of unemployed youths in the country to the barest minimum. In Abuja for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
The Academic Staff Union of Universities has appealed to President Bola Tinubu to sign and implement the renegotiated 2009 ASUU Federal Government of Nigeria Agreement in line with the collective bargaining principles as enshrined in the International Labour Organization Convention. Coordinator of the Lagos Zone of the Union, Professor Adelaja Odukoya, made the appeal while addressing the press at the Olabisi Onabanjo University, Agoiwoye, Ogun State. ASUU said should the president heed to the appeal and act accordingly, it would save the nation's public universities from imminent collapse. The union added that it would also ensure lecturers are not forced into another round of avoidable industrial action courtesy of the current conditions of service. Stakeholders and residents of Rivers State have urged the Inspector General of Police to withdraw officers and men currently stationed at the 23 local government headquarters. They argue that the deployment is hindering council staff and non-staff from carrying out their essential duties. News Central's Austin Azu, who has been closely following the development, completes the report.
The recent political turmoil in Rivers State erupted due to demands for certain political loyalists for extending the tenure of local government leaders beyond their term expiration on June 17. This ignited a firestorm of reactions, leading to groups seizing control of council secretariats and culminating in violent clashes between opposing factions. In response, the Inspector General of Police swiftly deployed officers across all 23 local government areas of the state to restore and maintain law and order. Despite the state governor's inauguration of the caretaker committee chairman and vice, the police have refused to vacate the AGAs. This defiance is effectively locking everyone out of the secretariats, disrupting access and impeding local governance. The food vendors who operate within the Port Harcourt City Council now operate elsewhere as they lament low patronage.
They open the place so that crowd people will come walk. When they come walk, crowd go there from there, everything will move fine.
By now, I should have been in my house resting, but people did not here to buy the food. So it affects me much because everywhere is locked. Nobody to buy. When I could come out, nowhere to sell. I'm just sitting from morning till night, be looking the road. No way for me to survive with my children.
The Rivers State NLC and TUCs strongly have also condemned the police for locking their members out of their offices. They have issued a 4-day ultimatum to the Nigeria Police to vacate the premises and restore unrestricted access for local government workers. They said failure to comply will result in serious consequences.
Of both NS and TC call on the Inspector General of Police to immediately direct the Commissioner of Police, Rivers State Command, to allow legitimate workers of the various local government councils to access their offices. Unanimously uphold the ultimatum issued by the Nigerian Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, for the Nigerian Police to vacate and allow unfettered access of local government workers to access their offices without further delay.
Is that if at the expiration of the ultimatum that we have issued through NOGE for police, for the IG of police to do the needful by vacating the local government councils and allowing our members to go to work, we will be left with no other option than to deploy our union might to recover our right, because they cannot violate our right and then deny us access to daily living and then be enjoying themselves. So that is why we have put our members on red alert, because if they don't do that, we will carry out legitimate union actions to ensure that we continue to earn our living.
The union leaders also condemned in strong terms some political gladiators calling for a state of emergency in Rivers State. In Port Harcourt, for News Central, Austin Azu.
Well, News Central correspondent Austin Azu now joins me on the news for an update on happenings in Rivers State. Hello, Austin. Thank you for joining me. What is the latest development from the local governments at the moment?
Currently, I'm standing about 200 meters away from the entrance of the local government, and far away you can see the presence of the security personnel still very much on the ground, keeping surveillance and ensuring that they enforce the IGP order here in the state capital and across the 23 local government areas in Rivers State. At the moment, nothing is happening now. Currently, of course, you know, today is weekend, so workers are not expected to come to work. But from what we can see, relatively the road is dry
and we wanted actually to do a report from that area, but we were asked to relocate from there because at the moment they said that place is a red zone area. Nobody can go in, nobody can come out. So they don't want anyone to be walking around or loitering around within that area. So you can just drive in and drive out. That's just the alternative for now.
So do you think that, at least by the end of the weekend, that's by Sunday, that everything would be settled so that the workers can actually go back or return to work?
Well, the NLC and TUC has issued a 4-day ultimatum, so probably the IGP will consider the ultimatum. Otherwise, the security agencies will still be on their duty post to ensure they enforce the directive given to them. So nobody can tell if they are likely going to exceed the weekend, or they might decide to, pull out from the LGA secretariats across the 23 local government areas here in Rivers State.
Okay, but how has this affected, the staff in particular, staff and non-staff alike? Because we actually saw a report where, there are complaints on both sides.
Well, at the moment, none of the staff, we are unable to reach out to any of the staff because, one, they were unable to gain access into their offices, and most of them have got information that the security agencies have taken over their offices. So invariably, they could just be relaxing at their homes or probably going about their other duties. So now, at the moment, we don't really know how they are taking it, but I think their union leaders have spoken on behalf of them. So hopefully, they will resume work as soon as the security agencies vacate the LGA secretariats. But however, from what the NLC and TUC members told us yesterday, that they have lost a large number of what they were supposed to have done in their offices, and not only that, they ought to have put in one or two things, and in short, like those who are doing other businesses within the secretariat complex have actually counted their losses. So it means they are not at the current state of mind for them to be rejoicing what the security agencies are currently doing in their offices.
Well, thank you so much, Austin Azu, for giving us an update on this development. We'll definitely reach out for you in our subsequent bulletins for more. Well, to also discuss the political intrigues surrounding Rivers State governance is Sheriff Mulade. He's the National Coordinator, Center for Peace and Environmental Justice. Good afternoon, Sheriff. Thank you so much for joining me at this time.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right, so Sheriff, do you believe that the deployment of police officers to the local government headquarters was a necessary decision?
Well, first and foremost, I think the IG did that in order to keep peace, in order to prevail on the situation in the Rivers State. Because if the security agent, especially the Nigerian police, if they don't do what they have done, maybe it would have stumbled to something that will be imaginable to the people of Rivers State. So what the security agent have done in order to keep peace, in order to secure life and property in Rivers State, I think it was a welcome development. However, the governor of Rivers State, Sim Fubra, is the chief executive officer of Rivers State. So I believe the Nigerian security agent, especially the police, will be working with him to ensure that there is peace in Rivers State, because it needs peace to govern the state. It needs security to govern the state. So I think it's a necessity to some extent, except the Nigerian police is being used or being manipulated to do otherwise. If not, I think it is necessary with the prevailing situation in Rivers State.
All right, well, since the idea of, the officers being at the post is to, instill peace, do you think that the withdrawal of these officers at the moment from the local government headquarters would have an effect on the administration of the councils and also the state as a whole?
Well, first is to arrest the situation and which the Nigerian police have been able to do and bring the local government under control. Secondly, the governor, who is the chief security officer of the state, has been able to appoint caretaker committee, and these caretaker committees need to take over. And when the caretaker committee, local government chairman, took over, it is expected that the Nigerian security agents, the police in particularly, need to withdraw from the secretariat and allow the normal activities to take place. Withdrawing does not mean that they will totally allow the local government or the River State to be vacuum, but then they need to give room, peace a chance, so that the local government, critical local government committee chairman should be able to do their own job.
All right, Sheriff. Now, how about the leadership change in the Rivers State Council of Traditional Rulers? Will it affect the relationship between the government and traditional institutions in the state?
I don't think so, because from the news is that the immediate past chairman of the River State Traditional Council tenure has elapsed. And when the tenure has elapsed, automatically a new leadership needs to be enthroned. And that is what the governor have done, that we listen on the news. And former His Royal Majesty, I will say, was a very, very prominent and a reliable leader in River State. And even the current chairman who took over from Awose, we're going to work with the government and ensure that peace return to River State. Our interest is to ensure that there is total peace in River State, so that the development of the state should be a priority for any indigenous of River State, not this political rascality that we are displaying.
Okay. Now, how do you think, the state government's decision to appoint a new chairman, for River State Council of Traditional Rulers will impact relationship between government and traditional rulers? Because I know you did say that, it's a good thing that the new chairman, was appointed and everything, and, it might probably address some of the concerns that are being faced in that council.
Definitely, the new chairman, who is also a well-respected traditional ruler, will address some of these fundamental issues that are raising concerns in River State. And the traditional ruler, the new chairman, is not alone. And so he's going to work with his colleagues to ensure that there is peace. Mind you, that every traditional ruler is governed by the law, and there are all the subjects that are creating this chaos, creating this confusion in River State. They are they are all subject of this traditional ruler. So I believe that this new traditional ruler will be tasked with the responsibility to ensure that there is peace. And the governor of River State will going to work. I'm very sure that they will going to work with the current traditional institution to ensure that there is still peace in River State.
Well, let's hope for the best in this case. But thank you so much, Sheriff, for joining us and speaking to us about this. Thank you for staying with us. Now, at a time when many Nigerians have begun to question the effectiveness of the modern judiciary in carrying out its duties with fairness, integrity, timely justice, and upholding law and order in society, some groups of persons propose that an integrated approach leveraging the complementary roles of both traditional and modern judicial systems may be the best path forward for resolving disputes in Nigeria. For more on this story, News Central's Niyi Omoni provides further context and analysis.
The traditional system has deep cultural and historic roots originating from the various ethnic groups that make up Nigeria. Processes like oath-taking, pouring of wine, divination, and trial by ordeal formed part of the customary laws for ages, while the modern judicial system was inherited from British colonial rule. The traditional system relies on community participation, elders acting as judges, and a focus on restorative rather than punitive justice.
To understand how backward the judiciary institution is in Africa today, look at how our judges, look at how our lawyers dresses. It's just a typical reflection of how, the depth of mental slavery, You put on wigs that have nothing to do with your climate conditions. We are today being ruled by English laws, in spite of how many decades of so-called flag independence. But you see, for whatever institution that controls the question of life and death, it must emanate from your social realities and conditions.
On the other hand, the modern court system aims to provide fair and impartial justice through trained judges, lawyers, and due legal process. However, the modern judiciary suffers from delays and corruption amongst others, which has further deteriorated trust in the modern system over time.
If you are indebted to me, I will collect my money through any means than to go to judiciary or to involve police.
Nobody wants to go to court because you're not even sure whether you're going to get judgment, true judgment, real judgment.
Traditional judiciary also has its flaws in ensuring impartiality, lack of legal precedent, and documentation of rulings.
As at that material point in time, the traditional African society was highly patriarchal. So there are some aspects of this conventional legal system that we can borrow. And for me, it is no other place than the question of fundamental human rights are being addressed.
This is my outfit.
There are proposals to better integrate traditional and modern dispute resolution mechanisms.
So you might, even before finished swearing, you might just be struck by thunder right there and there. So I think we need to find a way to include this traditional practice.
It cannot be, because there are two parallel lines that can never meet at any point. This is because in traditional institutions, it is based on culture, while the modern judicial system is based on law. Even if you say we want to go back to the traditional institution, the question I will ask is, which traditional institution? The one that has been politicized? The only town today where traditional institution is still strong is Benin City. The way the traditional institution is today, we cannot go there. Whether you like it or not, the orthodox judicial system is still the one that can serve the interest of the people better. That is all. The only thing, people are saying there's corruption there and all that. I think there should be a lot of ways to do this. Let there be strong discipline in the judicial officers.
Can the modernization of both the traditional and modern justice institutions create a just and trusted system of dispute resolution in Nigeria? These are questions still begging for answers. In Lagos for News Central, Ni Omoni.
Thank you, Ni, for that report. Now, as the death toll from the latest cholera outbreak hits 40, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention says the country does not have enough vaccines. According to the Director General of the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Dr. Jide Idris, Nigeria has placed an order for more cholera vaccines from donor agencies, even though the date of delivery is still unknown. The NCDC boss stressed the need for the country to embrace the use of vaccines and other preventive measures to curb the spread of the acute diarrhea infection. Cholera is a food and waterborne disease caused by the ingestion of the bacterium Vibrio cholerae in contaminated food and water. Still talking health, meanwhile, the Lagos State suspected cholera cases have risen to 421. The Commissioner for Health, Akin Abayomi, disclosed this on Saturday. He noted that the Emergency Operations Center, in collaboration with all relevant partners, is actively engaged in contact tracing, community-based surveillance, awareness campaigns, sample testing, and ensuring that confirmed cholera cases receive appropriate medical treatment. On Friday, the Commissioner confirmed 35 cases out of the 417 suspected cases and 24 deaths across 20 local government areas in the state. Lagos State has been experiencing heavy rainfall since 14th June, causing flood and resulting in displacements and damage. Now, the floods will likely exacerbate health concerns in the state, where authorities declared a cholera outbreak on June 9th and 324 suspected cholera cases, including 15 deaths already recorded. News Central's Bettina Nweli reports.
The relentless downpour began earlier this week, quickly overwhelming the city's drainage systems. Major areas like Victoria Island, Lekki, Ibeju-Lekki, and Ikeja have been particularly hard hit. Residents are struggling to cope as floodwaters have inundated homes, causing power outages and making commuting and daily living tough.
When we decided, okay, we want to expand the area for living space in Lagos, we targeted this Lekki area, which is, very convenient area. But the process of converting the wetland into livable space was done in many areas exceedingly irresponsibly. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the way that we reclaimed the land. But the process of that reclaiming now impacted so negatively on the capability of that wetland to get rid of the water when the heavy rains come, because that's what the wetlands were doing.
While the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, have issued warnings advising people to stay indoors and avoid unnecessary travel, the sheer scale of the flooding has made life incredibly difficult for citizens.
This is the global warming issue. We have global warming in the world. The earth is getting far, far hotter. In fact, United Nations Secretary General is no longer, he said it's no longer global warming, it's global boiling. Because 2023, hottest year ever recorded by humanity. They're saying July 2024 is going to go down in history as the hottest July ever recorded. So when you have more heat, you have more evaporation. When you have more evaporation, you have more rain falling in short periods of time. So we're opening up ourselves to a lot of disasters. For your neighbor's sake, do not throw your plastic on the road again. Even if you have to put it in your pocket, put it in your pocket. My God, until you find somewhere where you can put those little plastic bags in a safe place, some kind of dustbin like this. Because if you throw it on the road, it's going to go and block the drain. That can now cause flooding, which could end up killing somebody, and you will get the consequences.
With the Nigerian Meteorological Agency forecasting more rains in the coming days, raising concerns about further flooding, experts are now calling for urgent improvements to Lagos's infrastructure to better handle such extreme weather events in the future. In Lagos, for News Central, Bettina Nweli.
The news continues in West Africa, where Niger Republic's military rulers have confirmed a sabotage of an oil pipeline carrying crude oil to neighboring Benin Republic after a rebel movement seeking the release of the country's president claimed responsibility for the attack. Now on Monday, the rebel Patriotic Liberation Front, which is fighting for the release of President Mohamed Bazoum, said it had targeted the pipeline as a message to Nigeria's military generals. The group was created in August 2023 after the overthrow of Bazoum in a military coup on July 26th. Since then, he has been imprisoned at the presidential palace in the capital, Niamey. Its leader, Mohamed Salah, has demanded the release of the democratically elected president and threatened to attack oil installations. Let's head to Central Africa, where local sources say militia fighters on Friday killed more than 20 civilians in the village of the gold-rich Ituri province in Northeast Democratic Republic of Congo. The sources blamed the cooperative for the development of Congo militia for the killings. Codeco claims to be fighting for the interest of the Lendu tribe against the rival Hema tribe. Other sources put the number of the dead at 23. One said the dead included gold miners, women, and children. Dozens of civilians have been killed in Codeco attacks in villages in the province since the beginning of this year. In East Africa, Addis Ababa will play host to an all-inclusive political dialogue centered around war-torn Sudan for 5 days, beginning July 10th. That is according to an AU statement released on Friday. The AUC chairperson, through the AU high-level panel on Sudan and in collaboration with IGAD, says they are working to realize the dialogue in hopes of securing a people-driven solution to the brutal conflict and restoration of constitutional democratic order in Sudan. It came following a meeting between heads of state and government on the situation in Sudan on Friday. Now let's head to business, where the federal government is working on establishing an electricity offences tribunal to combat power theft in the country. Speaking at the briefing in Abuja, Managing Director, Nigerian Electricity Management Services Agency, Aliyu Tahir, said based on the powers conferred on the agency in the Electricity Act, NEMSA had been working hard to establish a tribunal that would speedily try electricity-related offences. Tahir noted that with the tribunal, issues of electricity theft would be addressed speedily and violators prosecuted as quickly as possible. He also said his agency was perfecting the process for the establishment of an electricity offences tribunal, with an inbuilt system to speedily tackle power-related offences. Now, to further discuss this, I am being joined by founder Spark Nigeria, Chinedu Ama. Hello, Chinedu. Thank you so much for joining me at this time.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the news.
All right, so first, let's understand how do people perpetrate energy theft, and who are the enablers?
Okay, so electricity theft has different types. There's one you call the hooking, where they just take their cable and they hook it on their local line on the street. There's one they call bypass, where people bypass the meter. There's also the ones where, for some of them that have three-phase meters, they take out one line and sustain their supply on another line. People who enable these are mostly technically sound people, who we may call technicians. They may be installers when it comes to prepaid meters. They could be your local electrician within the neighborhood, or even a customer who knows how to handle electricity. These are the types of people who enable theft within networks.
All right, so if you're to quantify the losses, to the Nigerian government and the companies along the value chain as a result of these thefts that you've actually mentioned, how would you describe it?
If I remember right, commercial losses, which may be as a result of electricity theft, ranges, I think, about 20 to 25%. As of the last data that I had a look at, and it's a huge blow on the sector. It impacts collection, impacts revenue, impacts investment, because when you don't have inflow, then you do not have the funds to provide improved equipment and manpower to service the country. And as you know, there's an energy supply deficit in Nigeria, so we require as much inflow as possible into the market and into the sector.
All right. Chinedu, now, there are over 200 million people in Nigeria with over 42 households. So if, the establishment, if they were to establish this particular tribunal, how will the monitoring exercise be conducted, across all states to be able to apprehend, the culprits?
I think we need to bifurcate first of all, because the 2024 electricity law has already domiciled the right to regulate electricity to the subnational, that is the state. So I do not understand where NEMSA is coming from with their position. I would read further on it, but there needs to be a fine line. If you're handing over regulation to the states, then these authorities required should be domiciled within the states. For years, we've been clamoring for these laws. speaking at sessions, even sessions with the judiciary at some state levels at some point, and there was no law. So why is NEMSA coming up with this at this time? The market is evolving already. It's gone into gear. It's transitioning to its next phase. Secondly, we have seen a lot of work on manual deterrence to theft. I do not think
Hello, Chinedu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead. We can hear you now.
Yeah, so I think there's a need to transition to technology. We need a lot more technology in this space because so far human effort has yielded very little results. So there's a lot more technology that needs to be invested in within the disco level.
Okay. Now, the maximum penalty for energy theft is currently 500,000 naira fine, or imprisonment of a term of 2 years. Now, do you think that will be enough to deter criminally minded people, or, would you prefer more stringent measures?
I think the measures need to be more stringent.
Hello, Chinedu.
It needs to be graded according to the club and R2 customer, that's a residential involved. You want to pass a certain level of fine on the customer. But when you step it up to...
All right, we have actually... All right, we've lost Chinedu, but thank you so much for the time and the conversation. We appreciate you for that. And that's it at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our top stories. We told you that Nigerian Army rescues 7 women and 9 children in Borno counter-terrorism operations. We also told you that Nigeria runs out of cholera vaccine as death toll hits 40. Finally, you heard that militia fighters in the Democratic Republic of Congo kill more than 20 in village raid. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can also watch News Central on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Darshan Usman.